Welcome to Town Talk, the official podcast of Summerville, South Carolina, where we're bringing in remarkable people from our town and just get to understand them a little bit better. Today, I am super excited to bring in Councilman Touchberry with us. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm super excited to be able to connect with you and have a conversation with you.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here and excited to speak with you and get to know a little bit about you as well.
Yes.
I do understand you had a lot of hair when you came in on your interview, and people may think you like IPAs.
Yeah, I heard that. I think that was a common thing around, but I think I chopped a little bit off, trimmed up the beard a little bit, kept it, but I'm kind of growing it back out again.
You're looking much sharper than I don't have that many options.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, and let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
Tell us about yourself, where you came from, what brought you up, and what led to Councilman Touchberry.
Oh, I appreciate it. That's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
So I came to Somerville by birth.
Okay.
I was born and raised here. My parents came in the 70s when my dad took a coaching job with Somerville High School. So I was born and raised in Oak Knoll, if you're familiar with that. That's off of Gay Hagen Road.
Okay.
When I was a child, Gay Hagen Road was a dirt road that came into the town of Somerville, and you crossed the Sawmill Branch on a wooden bridge. And we had a blast doing that back then. But I'm a product of ED2 education. Went through Somerville Elementary School, Rawlings Elementary, Austin Middle, and then my dad had the opportunity when our school district had its second high school, Fort Dorchester High School, to be the athletic director. So I followed him to Fort Dorchester when I went to high school. After that, at the Citadel, spent time on the track team and really enjoyed my time at the Citadel. I know you smiled when I said the track team because I don't look like a track athlete. However, I was a thrower. Yeah. And then I've been working in the transportation industry ever since. But I arrived by birth in Somerville and really loved it.
So this is your hometown. This is born and raised here.
Born and raised. When I did some of my career with the South Carolina Department of Transportation and in others, I lived in Charleston on James Island for a period of time. Okay. Worked out of headquarters for SCDOT in Columbia. Okay. And lived in both Columbia and Lexington for a period of time. Okay. But, been back here since 2013.
So you worked for the Department of Transportation. What was your role there kind of throughout your career?
Yeah, so that was the first place I actually worked out of college. I was a civil engineer and worked in the bridge construction office right here in District 6. I had the opportunity to work on some of the coolest bridges, I believe, in town. First of all, the Breach Inlet Bridge.
Yes,
fantastic location. That's not a bad place to work. And then the Limehouse Bridge, and then the Cooper River Bridge on that replacement project. Okay. A lot of good stuff working with SCDOT.
Yeah, so what was it like working on that Cooper River replacement project? Was it intense?
It was intense. Yeah. We had the best experts from around the country, not only from a contractor side but a designer side, and also on the owner side representing SCDOT. We had consultants and Department of Transportation folks working together as a team to deliver that project, and that was intense. It received a lot of national media attention. Of course, it was being done in the historic area of downtown Charleston, as well as impacting the Mount Pleasant community. But if you remember the old bridges,
I do. I actually do. Yes.
You do remember. You're a young fellow, so I don't know. But the Grace Memorial Bridge was the first one that was built, and it was the one that was so narrow. Your rear view mirrors would get, or side view mirrors would get knocked off when you're riding over there. It was intense. So it was great to be a part of it. And I'd really emphasize the teamwork it took to deliver such a massive project for the taxpayers.
Yeah, so that perspective of working in that industry, how did that help shape coming in as a councilman for the town of Somerville?
Oh, that's a great question. And I really think it comes back to understanding that nothing gets done independently. I can't do anything by myself. I have to work with others. And the teamwork mentality of a large project, it takes everyone communicating, everyone working together. Construction has issues all the time. There's always going to be problems in construction, and the only way to really work through that is to communicate, work with your partners, solve problems, look for the win-win solutions, and really deliver. Because as an elected official here on council, our constituents want us to deliver. And I have no authority independently, so it takes me working with others to get things done.
The team effort, and through the other council members that I have had the opportunity to have on the podcast, it's the same thing. We have to be a team. We have to work together. We have to figure out what's best for our community together. Right. And I think the perspective you've gained from the Department of Transportation in that industry, I bet you that's a very team-oriented industry, like you said. So
it is.
That's really cool, kind of how you came from there, and then councilman. So outside of being a council member, what else do you do in your free time? Is it fishing, and what are you up to?
I have a lot of hobbies.
Yeah.
But the biggest one is being married to my bride, Jamie. She's also a Somerville native, but we've been married as of last week 20 years.
Congratulations.
And we have been together for 26 years.
Wow.
We started dating on my graduation night from Fort Dorchester High School in 1897.
Wow, congratulations.
And she's put up with me ever since. She's a saint.
Yeah.
But we have two children, 16-year-old daughter Sage, 15-year-old son Beckham, and their sports and their lives have really become my biggest hobby.
Yeah.
That's really my priority, is being out there and encouraging them. They do multiple sports, swim team, volleyball, soccer. So that's my biggest hobby. Second hobby is really just contributing to the community.
Yeah.
I love being a council member. I love the opportunity to serve folks who need help, and really be a voice for those who may not feel like they have a voice.
Yeah.
So I love that. But I do like the beach. I like the boat.
Yeah.
I love fishing. I just don't do it as frequently as I thought I was going to do at this stage.
Your life catches up with you, and you find out. And I have a 15-month-old at home, and so she takes up a lot of time, but probably not as much as when she's going to be 16 years old and playing sports or in choir and doing her thing. But so I can only imagine.
Well, I will tell you a piece of advice that my wife learned at a conference. It's just a phase. People say it's just a phase. It'll change. You'll get over it. No. It's just a phase. Don't miss it, because you're going to be like, oh, I missed those days. Oh, I missed this. And we're on the tail end where our kids don't necessarily want to hang out with us as much as we would like them to.
Yeah.
So enjoy every phase. It's fun.
Yeah, parenting is a fun time, and definitely in this community where there's so much for them to do. The school districts are good, and that's what makes it even more important. And that's why we work a little extra harder, is because of our kids that we're bringing up.
That's right.
You talked a little bit about sports.
Yes.
I want to pick your brain a little bit. So, favorite college team?
All right. So obviously, as a Citadel graduate, I would need to lead with the Citadel is my favorite team. However, they don't always operate at a high level of performance. I love the new coach we have, Maurice Drayton. He was there when I was there. I'm very excited for this football season. But when it comes down to who my real college team is, it's the Clemson Tigers.
Clemson, there it is. I knew it was
Tigers.
Either Gamecocks or Clemson. I knew it was going to be one of them.
So, and just to give a little bit of background around that selection, my wife's dad and granddad went and played football at Clemson.
Oh, okay.
So I want to stay married.
Yeah.
So I'm a Clemson Tiger all the way.
I don't blame you.
All the way.
I don't blame you. You got to do what you got to do. But it's either one of those. For me, I am not either, because I'm not from South Carolina. I'm an Ohio State fan, which is going to gain me some enemies.
Okay.
But I also have a story. My grandpa's in the Basketball Hall of Fame there.
Really?
Yes. So I have a reason as well. So, but So you're a football fan?
I enjoy it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I am a football fan myself.
Yeah.
Played back in high school, but that was it.
Yeah, that was it for me.
That was it.
Yeah.
That was it. So circle back. Like every council member and every staff member that I have come in contact with, and I've only been here for close to 6 months now, but everyone truly cares about this community.
Yes.
One question, I know will, I think, be interesting to have a conversation on is there is issues and struggles that we're having within our community.
Absolutely.
What are some, in your opinion, that we are facing? And I guess this is a two-parter. Okay. What are some steps we're taking to improve those issues?
Okay. Well, I think one of the hardest pieces of tension that we would have right now is we have a growing community. And by growing community, the town has grown, but everything around it has grown at a much more faster rate. Chief Wright talked about in our budget meeting that we have 55,000 roughly folks who live in the town of Somerville, but we have 246,000 people with a Somerville address. So when you understand that level of growth and how many people are here, while that's a great thing, it also creates a lot of challenges.
Yeah.
And probably one of the things that we love about Somerville is our quality of life. We have exceptional services put on by our outstanding staff members, but we also have a quality of life here. We have that small town charm. We have that feel. We have that neighborhood vibe where folks feel welcomed and they feel like they're at home when they are here. And we have to make sure that the growth doesn't erode that. So one of the largest challenges with growth, of course, is our infrastructure investment. And over the years, even the Department of Transportation until recent years hasn't had adequate funding for transportation. Our county has been proactive and has a transportation sales tax that the voters have voted now twice. So we're able to invest some, but getting out in front of those infrastructure challenges, making sure that our community is still safe as we grow, still our quality of life is still high as we grow, and that some of these challenges don't choke out the opportunities from the growth. I know our businesses are excited for the additional folks to come in and be customers and clients, but we have to make sure that they can get there safely, quickly, in a timely fashion, have a place to park, and and create alternatives. When we grow up, my wife and I, we used to ride our bike to middle school, to elementary school. You'd ride your bike, and we don't have that level of safety from a bicycle and pedestrian kind of safety standpoint. So we have to be working on our infrastructure to meet the demand of growth, and we can only do that if we're working with our partners who have funding, because we don't necessarily have the funding for that. So
this is a common issue here in the Low Country that you hear almost daily, is we are a hot spot in the country, right? The Low Country as a whole. When it comes in, Charleston is getting loaded up. So where are folks going to move to? They're going to move to Somerville. They're going to move to the outside cities and towns. And whether they're working in Charleston or working here in town or working farther inland, right? So that infrastructure and
you're bringing up a good point there. How the centroid of our region is moving is really what you're talking about.
Exactly.
And it is, if you think of the Charleston region now, exit 199 might be about the new centroid for our region when you consider all the investment and economic development that's going in the outskirts, outside of Somerville in Berkeley County, but also Dorchester County, which creates opportunities for our folks to live, work, and play closer to home and not get in that traffic going to Charleston.
Yes, and I think I'm just envisioning what it's going to look like 10, 15 years from now. There's all this land beyond, when we're going towards Orangeburg and that area, there's all that land in between. Is it going to build up? Is it going to build up? And is Charleston just going to become this this really wide ranging. It's just be low country at some point, right?
It could.
Yeah.
It really could. Zoning and planning shape that. Our comprehensive plans and the zoning can help shape what it looks like.
Yeah.
But the industrial investment that's happening right now in the upper part of the county for Dorchester County and in Berkeley County is unprecedented.
Yeah.
And folks like Volvo and now Redwood, they are going to have other investors coming in alongside of them, suppliers that provide them products that are going to marry up close by. John Trulock was talking about the impact that BMW had on Spartanburg.
Yeah, that's true.
And he said about 5 years in, once BMW was settled, Spartanburg started getting a lot of suppliers coming to their region from to meet the needs of BMW, and we're going to experience the same thing.
It's good for our community, but it does take a lot of effort from leadership to plan and look to what is going to happen, but also balance the fact that there is a today and that we need to worry about today as well. And our mayor has talked about that, and other folks and council members have talked about that. But how do you balance that? How do you balance the future outlook and the issues that we are facing on a daily basis?
Well, first of all, I think we need to be very adaptable because things are constantly changing.
Yeah.
And we have to react to it, but not in a knee-jerk reaction standpoint. We need to react to it calmly, thoughtfully, and once we develop a vision and a plan, we need to continue to marry up our reality with where the plan's taking us and make those adjustments. One of the phrases my dad used to always say is monitor and adjust. And not emotionally respond to things, but monitor and adjust. And we have to be constantly doing that. And it does take our council working together, but we have to have a plan and a vision that we're working towards constantly. You don't send troops on the battlefield without a mission objective. Well, we need to know our mission objective so that we keep focused on where we're trying to go as things change today.
Yeah, and that's a great answer. And I think, being able to be adjustable and be flexible is the big point there. With all this change and everything that is happening when it comes to the growth, and obviously traffic is a common thing that everyone has frustrations with, and understandably so, because the roads can only hold so many people.
Right.
For community members who are listening or watching, what is the best way that they can get their opinions and their thoughts heard from council members or the mayor or staff members, the town as a whole?
Right. No, feedback is very important, and we want our constituents to share their feedback, be informed about what is going on, and then have the opportunity to comment and provide input. No one person is going to have all the answers for what we need in this town, and it takes a lot of folks working together to get there. Reach out to your council members, reach out and attend our meetings, get our emails and send emails. We serve the people, the tax-paying citizens of this town. We need to be responsive to them. Now, that doesn't mean we're able to say yes every time they have an idea, but they may bring something to light that we're not even considering that can really benefit all of us as a town moving forward. So we don't want them to feel like their voice shouldn't be heard. It should be heard, and we want to hear it.
I completely agree with you, and obviously as the PIO, that's probably my main role is helping the community understand what's going on here at the town, but also being that middleman if need be. But the same thing is coming to our meetings and signing up to speak to council. Absolutely. And also sending the emails because they're readily available, and you can communicate. And I agree with you. Someone could have an idea that could spark something that could be a real big change for our community, a good change.
Right. Absolutely.
And so I agree with you, and I always will add the links in the bio in our podcast to make sure everyone can figure out the best way to streamline that information.
That's very important.
Our community is very diverse, and we're very fortunate for that. We have so many different type of people here that really help shape our community to bring that family-oriented, I guess, vibe, right? Yes. For young and inspiring community members, what is some advice you would give them in helping shape this community of Somerville?
Well, the first thing is get involved.
Yeah.
And if most of the people in the town probably know the Tupper family, but they're a great example. Edward Tupper is a servant who gets involved with helping serve the community in a lot of different ways through nonprofits and other things. He was the one who invited me to visit the Dorchester Children's Advocacy Center years ago, almost 10 years ago, when we were first back in Somerville. They were going through a capital campaign to expand the Children's Center, and he said, "We need some help. Would you help?" Well, I didn't even know what the Children's Center was, so I went down there and learned, and then found out what they did to help abused and neglected children, help restore them, getting them over their trauma, and how that benefits the community as a whole. And I had people in my life who had been abused and had that kind of trauma, and it just connected with my heart. So find something that you're passionate about within the community as a young person and serve with whatever organization or group that is, and then from that point forward, you will continue to find something you're passionate about and serve, and you're going to shape this community into a better place. That's all it takes.
Yeah.
Get passionate about something or connect with what you're passionate about and serve. You'll meet a lot of people, and you will shape the future of this town for the better.
That's a great response, and there's multiple ways to serve and find your passion, and it does really take going out there and finding that, and the resources are available, whether that's through our website or through Visit Somerville website, and the chamber is another good place for that. But we talk about service, and obviously you have a dedication of service to our community. What inspires that? What is that root of service within you? That's
a great question. I really think that seed was planted by my mom and dad. My dad being a coach many years ago, he always would tell us, be a contributor. Even if you're not the starter, which I was a lot of times not the starter in a lot of the sports because I'm not the most athletic, if I practiced hard or if I helped the team in any way, I was being a contributor.
Yeah.
As long as you're working your best to be a contributor. And I think that fits in with life. My wife and I, we look for opportunities to be a contributor. And I think a lot of people in this community, I'm amazed. I think that's what makes Somerville so special, is that so many people who care about this town, they act out the same way and they want to be a contributor. So just that desire to be a contributor probably was drilled in me by Papa Touch or Coach Touch or however you want to call him, but he drilled it in to where, if there's an opportunity, I feel like it's time to step in and contribute.
And that's awesome. That's awesome to hear. And so it's been instilled in you since you were a little boy.
Yes, absolutely.
That's cool. This town is obviously special, and it has its character. So this. One thing I always like to ask our guest, and you kind of asked me. I told you I visited Hendersonville this past weekend. What my favorite restaurant is. I asked all our guests top 3 restaurants here in Somerville.
Oh my gosh!
And it's a tough question.
Oh.
And because literally every restaurant here is awesome.
No doubt.
What's your top 3?
So, I'll go with the ones that I probably frequent the most. We do have I am so excited for how many new restaurants are popping up in our town. It's fantastic. And not only just in historic downtown, but in Oak Brook and other areas. Our town we have some good options now. There's no longer a need to drive somewhere else to have a great meal.
No.
You can stay at home and crush it, and it's fantastic. And the atmosphere is great. But Coastal Coffee Roasters is one of those from a breakfast standpoint. It can't be beat. Of course, the coffee's fantastic, but the atmosphere is great. It's like a neighborhood community center, and man, their breakfast and lunch. As a matter of fact, I'm eating lunch there today, so I have a lunch meeting scheduled there because I love it. Then 5 Loaves.
5 Loaves.
5 Loaves is fantastic, and then I'm going to take this a little different for you. Accent on Wine. While it is, it's a restaurant at the same time, they have lunch bites that are amazing. Yeah. So I really love Accent on Wine.
I never tried their lunch bites, but I'm gonna have to give it a shot.
But I also frequent Laura. La Rustica's fantastic. We just had that the other week. Montrose.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Sweetwater.
Yeah.
Bexley.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all right here, and you could tell I like to eat a little bit. I'm sure y'all do as well, but it's fantastic.
Yeah, and
I'm so excited about our community. We just had lunch on Friday at Swig and Swine out in Oak Brook. I mean, there are good places everywhere.
Yeah, it makes it. You really don't have to travel to go eat some real good food.
No.
Or even have fun, with our parks and our recreation. Now, that brings me to my next point. And I usually end on the restaurants, but I just had to, I had to pick your brain a little bit on this. But our parks and our recreation, in your opinion, what are some ways that we can improve and enhance that service?
Yes. Well, as a dad, and I'll say this, even my wife and I, we were foster parents as well. While we had our children, we fostered some children, and we enjoyed the parks. We actually had a park tour because 4 kids in a house is not always healthy. So we would pack them up and go from park to park to park. And whenever they got tired of one park, we'd go to the next park. But I think it's so important. The average age of a Somerville person, a citizen, is about 38. You're a young family. You have children. I think the majority of our citizens want first-class park options for their families that are inclusive, that are accessible, so that folks can go and have a good time with their children, but also have a learning aspect to it. The exercise is so good for them, getting outside, enjoying the community, meeting new friends. Our park system is excellent, but as the 7th largest municipality in the state, I think it can be more. And I think with our parks director, Amy is fantastic.
Yes.
She can take us where our citizens, I think, want us to go. We just have to support her and work with her on a vision and then executing that vision for our citizens. I think our citizens really want a first-class parks network. And the county, with their Parks and Recreation sales tax or referendum, they have funding for their parks, and we have different options for our citizens that just improves the quality of life and helps them stay here, stay in Somerville.
Yeah, and I completely agree. And like you brought up a good point. Amy is a fantastic, employee and staff member, and she definitely has the I guess the passion for the Parks and Rec, and I'm excited to watch her, do her thing, Well, Councilman, to bring this train home, is there anything else that you want to share for the sake of the community before we wrap this up?
I'll just say, as a community, I want everyone to work together on the solutions we need for our future. The town has a very bright future. I mean, we have so many great opportunities, and I just want those opportunities to be there for our children, our grandchildren. So working together, being patient with each other, and genuinely caring about each other is so important. That's what made this community special, and we need to maintain that thread through everything we do moving forward.